Hey guys, this is Tony with Dinner Geek Designs. Today I'm back with another video. Today we're back with Affinity. I want to talk about the stroke tool and how to use it, some settings maybe to keep in mind when you're using the stroke tool, and just an overall overview of it. It's a pretty robust tool. It's got some good settings in it. So let's just hop into it. Like and subscribe if you learned something. And then yeah, let's get into it. Alright, here we are with Affinity. I have my stroke tool, or stroke panel popped out here for us. I've got some shapes over here just for us to go through the stroke tool. Let's start with the circle real quick. And we'll go through some of the basics real quick with the stroke tool. To create a stroke, you can go up to here, your color. You have your stroke width here. There's some other options here, like if you hit this little icon here, this panel also pops up, so if you don't want this always here, you can have it over here. Pretty convenient for Affinity to have multiple ways of doing this. I like this over here when I'm working with stuff. But say if I didn't have a stroke, say I had a fill like this, I can come down here and hit this little flip icon. It'll now flip them. Now over here in our styles, we could have no stroke, we could have a solid, we could have a dash, or we could have a brush. Brush goes into brush sensitivity, all this other stuff. That gives you a little bit more finesse than you want. Right now, there's no pressure sensitivity in this stroke or when it was created, so it's not detecting that. So we're just going to go to solid for right now. Over here, we have our width. We can make this as skinny or as fat as possible. We'll go through caps and joints when we get to this P. It's a little bit easier to see on there. It won't show on here. We have alignment, so we can have our center alignment like we do. We could have inside, outside. It gives you a little bit of control. Let's make this a fill to go through what border does. We'll make it a really cool pink. Now, if we select these, so it's a little hard to see what these icons are, but this is fill on top, stroke outside, stroke out on top, solid inside. So when we do that, we swap it. As you see, our stroke goes on top. Our fill goes on top, our stroke goes on top. We also have the appearance panel to show that also happening. So we click it, we see our fills on top, our strokes on bottom, vice versa. A lot of control for like if you have no need for multiple shapes. Like used to have to do this before, and it was putting multiple shapes on top of each other to try to make it work. You can do that all in one tool. Scale with object is a really, really big tool to use. So like right now, if we scale this. Right now, if we scale this, it's just going to scale. It'll keep with it. Now let's uncheck this and see what happens to the stroke. The stroke gets fatter. It gets thinner. It's not scaling with our design work. So I always try to make sure this is on, or I'll export or expand the stroke, and I'll show you to do that at the end of this video. But that's something I always like to keep in mind, to have that either checked or expand my strokes when I'm scaling it. Start points. We'll go through that with this P. So let's go over there now. Let's start over with caps again. Caps are how your stroke will end. So right now, these are set to offset square. We could also do square. This will just go straight to the point. Wherever your point stops, that's where they stop. Rounded will make it rounded. It'll go a little bit past it. We also have joints. These will change. Like if we look at these bottom, it's going to change how they look. Allows you to have more control and more finesse of what your design looks like. So let's go to start and stop points. This is where I like to do a lot of arrows in Affinity. So it has this feature in. It's got a lot of options here. A lot of options I've never even thought of using. So we can let's make a standard arrow, and let's maybe make a point that's we'll do a oblong alternate. So now we have these percentages highlighted. These percentages will actually change individually how big these are. We could also do a grouping, and it'll change both of them in the same ratio. Over here we have our points of where do these points start. This is the best way to explain it. So this will start, our arrows will start in the point, at the point. The center is the center. Or off of it to give it a little bit more distance. This will actually switch your start and end, so you can toggle between the two. Or you could delete it. Let's go to properties and let's go through this a little bit. Most of this is not going to matter to you, but if you really need to create a custom stroke, you can with this. You can save as, you can reset. This goes to brush width, this goes to size variety. So if you have pressure sensitivity, it'll tell you that. This is going by, right now you can also do, opacity velocity, or opacity variance as well. You can do a lot in here. It's a lot of in depth in here. We can go by velocity. We can change how that curve works. We got body. There's so many tools in here. You could save as and make your own stroke as well. I'll close this right now. Mainly what I want to talk about is this pressure. This is where I will use a lot of my time and effort in creating a custom one, but it's mainly one-off. What I typically go in here for is, I want these end points to feather, but I don't want the middle to feather. So almost like, think like a good arc or something like that. I'll come in here, and as you see, this point now becomes a plus. I'll now put in a point there. So as you see, we're going to move these down, and our arc is going, as you see, our stroke width is changing based on this. I could also do this at 1. I could select one of these only, and select that. I could also come down here and make a really wild curve. So I could come down here. So I could go that way, I could go this way, I could put more points in here, and come up here, and come down here. So there's a lot you can do here. So I like to change this pressure sensitivity when I'm working on design, try to fiddle with it. I want to go through one more stroke option while we're here. I want to go through dash. So when I select dash, as you can see, now we have a new panel. So down. This is our phases. So we could hit 2, 2, 2. As you can see, it's changing how many dashes we have. So we have a lot of control. I would also like to go through, while we're here, let's talk about how to expand a stroke. Let's right click this, and over here we will see expand stroke. Now it becomes a curve for us. If you want to learn about how to get even more detailed with your strokes and learn about the width stroke tool, click the link above and I'll have a video to go over that. I hope you learned something. I hope you got something out of it. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.